The next time you're at the dollar store, pick up some pool noodles and 2 candy cane-shaped wire frames. Take one of the pool noodles and bend it to fit the curve of a candy cane frame. Mark the pool noodle at the end of the frame and cut off the excess pool noodle with a serrated knife. Secure the pool noodle to the frame with zip ties up and down the frame. About 4 or 5 should do it. Then repeat this with the second candy cane frame and pool noodle, and once zip tied, cut off the excess ends of the ties. Next, flip one of the framed pool noodles to its backside and line up right beside the other frame to create a heart shape. Working in small sections, spray adhesive to the top and sides of the heart. Then press green moss onto the frame. Continue to spray and cover the entire frame with moss. Some of the moss may fall off as you work, but you can gather it up and press it onto the empty, sticky sections of the frame to cover the pool noodle. Take some larger chunks of green moss and stick them to the bottom of the heart, creating the tip. Once the entire heart is covered, lightly spray adhesive over the entire wreath to help keep the moss in place. Add a ribbon and hang it on your door as a beautiful Valentine's welcome. Take 2 heart-shaped tins from the dollar store and, flipping one upside down, glue the 2 together with a glue gun. Measure the height of the 2 hearts together and cut out strips of pink paper of the same width. Also, outline the shape of the 2 hearts onto the same pink paper and cut out the heart shape on the paper. Glue the paper strips to the side of the 2 hearts and then glue the paper heart to the top. Take some fun ribbon and glue it to the top perimeter of the heart, covering up any space between the pieces of paper. Now, take some spackle, add some white paint, and mix thoroughly until it is the same consistency of frosting. Fill a piping bag and start to pipe the spackle frosting around the bottom of the heart. I had never piped frosting before, so it took me a bit to get the hang of it. My piping is not perfect, but it was sure fun to add the frosting effect. Let the spackle dry overnight and proudly display your new Valentine's cake decoration on a cake plate. Grab some bunches of faux flowers and cut the individual stems from the bunch. Using clear packing tape, line up some fishing line with the flower stem and wrap the end with the tape, trimming the excess side tape when it is secure. Take some sticky hooks and attach them to the ceiling, a doorway, or, like me, to the top of the fireplace mantle. Set a small table with a place setting by the fireplace. Add some floor pillows for seating. Decorate the table with your new decorated spackle cake and enjoy the romantic ambiance of the hanging roses. I hope this inspired you to create unique Valentine's decor using simple dollar store supplies.
Today we're going to be using this 18-inch heart wreath, but we're going to be adding some beautiful florals and greenery. So we're going to start with this beautiful variegated foliage right here, and all we're going to do is just break this apart into smaller pieces. So the cool thing about these frames is that when they make these, they're actually still fresh, the branches are still alive, and as, they dry out, they hold their shape great, and we'll just work them right into the grapevine. So our means of securing them is going to be through our glue skillet, and we're just going to dip them in and work them right into the heart. So we're not going to want to cover up this frame completely. You guys have heard me talk in the past here on Hometalk to be careful of covering up your frames. For a standard 18-inch grapevine, we're not too concerned about covering it up. That's totally okay. But for something a little bit fancier like this, if we start to get heavy-handed, like so, you lose your shape. So you want to make sure that you're adding just enough product to enhance it, but not take away from the existing frame. So that goes with containers. It goes for wall baskets, any kind of vessel. You don't want to obscure it too much. So let's break these down. I just pulled this greenery up a little bit closer towards the surface. That way it's a little bit more compact. Place another piece there. So now that we have a little base of greenery, it's time to come back in with some flowers. So we have some of these beautiful pink, kind of a hot pink, peony, and we'll just snip these off. Actually, these look more like dahlias to me. And we can use the leaves from those afterwards as well. So we'll take the smaller bloom, place it down there. We have a larger bloom that we'll place a little bit closer towards the inside, like that. So that's one spray's worth. Let's break down 2 more and work them in. All right, so we have 2 more of these sprays. We'll take another smaller bloom, place it up top, and then we have 1 more smaller bloom. We don't need such a long stem, so we'll snip that a little bit shorter. We'll take this one and shoot it out towards the left-hand side. Then we have 2 more full-size blooms that we can work in. We'll place 1 there and kind of create a triangular pattern. So as you can see, the smaller blooms, they kind of create almost a right angle, and these ones are going to create an equilateral triangle. So whenever you work with odds, it's a good idea, especially if you're a beginner and you're just starting out with flowers, because it helps you gauge exactly where to place things. And it's always a great technique because you know exactly how many you'll need. So it's not always the case. You don't always need to work in odds, but it is a good general rule of thumb, especially if you're just starting out. So once we've worked in those flowers, I want to take some of these white flowers. These are a type of freesia, and work these in. I'm actually going to use them without the leaves because the leaves are really long and I think they're not going to add any beauty to this wreath. So don't be afraid of working in flowers and not using the greenery, because you don't have to use it, especially if it's going to distract away from the beauties you already have going on. So I'll just take a few of these and work them in. And to secure these, like I said, just hot glue, and I'm poking them directly into the grapevine. So this is just a standard grapevine, just in a different form. So treat it just like you would a typical grapevine wreath, working them directly inside. We'll place a piece sticking down below. So to break these leaves off, as you can see, I'm just pulling them right out. It's nice and easy, and these are wired too, so you can bend them. Take another leaf, we'll place it towards the top. And you can add a bow to this design if you like. We have done a few versions with bows, but I think the best way of displaying these heart grapevines is to actually just use flowers and greenery. I think it creates a beautiful effect. So now we just have a few leftover cherry blossoms, and we'll just snip these off. It's always a good idea to put all of your leftovers to use. That way you're not wasteful. So we have 2 leftover flowers and a little bit of foliage that we can use if we want. I'm going to stick with just the cherry blossoms. Dip them in our glue skillet. I don't skimp with hot glue, but in this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that and nestle it in. So the hot glue will stick to the existing foliage and flowers and keep it in place. So don't feel as though you have to stick every flower into the grapevine, especially if you already have a nice base. So that's going to do it. Now what we can do is hang this up and show you the finished product. Okay, and here's how the finished heart turned out, and I absolutely love it, and I think my favorite aspect of it is the simplicity of it. We didn't work in tons of ribbon, no ribbon at all actually. We didn't work in a sign or too many florals, we just stuck with a handful of them. And when you do something like that, it just keeps everything nice and simple, but still maintains a beautiful effect. So we worked in a few stems of these dahlias here. We worked in a little bit of the white freesia, a little bit of the variegated foliage to just add a little pop of white, and then just 2 leftover cherry blossoms, all on top of an 18-inch heart. So let me know your thoughts on this, and if you do create one, definitely share it with us. We always love to see what you create. So thank you so much for watching. This is Nick Kretikos of Nick's Seasonal Decor, and you're watching me on Home Talk. Bye, everyone.